Right now, at this exact moment, I want you to imagine journeying deep inside your own body. Picture this highly intricate, glowing network, a realistic 3D map of your bloodstream. And zooming through this complex highway are millions of tiny, luminescent chemical messengers, just constantly flowing, pulsing, and rushing to their destinations. Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to unpack the magnificent, entirely hidden world of human hormones. And look, these aren't just biological footnotes we're talking about. They are literally the absolute directors of your health, your moods, and honestly, your very survival. So let's jump right in and begin our tour of your body's most vital communication network. Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll kick things off by looking at the body as a company. Then we'll move into energy and growth. After that, we'll explore stress and survival, discuss love and reproduction, and finally, wrap things up with balance and health.
All right, Section 1, the body as a company, the ultimate corporate factory.
To truly grasp how the endocrine system actually works, you kind of need to think of your body as this massive, bustling corporation. In this giant company, your brain sits at the top as the CEO. It's making all the big, executive decisions. Your different organs, those are the specialized departments. Human resources, manufacturing, defense. But here's the million-dollar question. How does the CEO actually tell those departments what to do? The answer is hormones. Hormones are these crucial chemical messengers delivering the CEO's strict instructions. And without these tiny messengers delivering those orders, the entire company would just completely shut down. Literally nothing would function. So where do all these messages actually come from? Well, these 10 major endocrine glands are your body's specific manufacturing offices, and they are located all the way from your head down to your toes. Up in the brain, we've got the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the pineal glands. Moving down into the neck, there's the thyroid and parathyroid. Then we have the thymus right in the chest, the adrenal glands and the pancreas in the abdomen, and finally the ovaries or testes. Each and every one of these specialized offices produces completely different, highly specific chemical messengers. The process itself is like a perfect little loop. Step 1, the gland produces the hormone. Step 2, and try to visualize this in 3D. The hormone is released and travels through a pulsing red vein, navigating the complex highway of your bloodstream. Step 3, it finds its specific target organ, acts exactly like a key entering a lock, and delivers its critical message, which causes the organ to instantly react. And honestly, here is a truly staggering fact about this whole operation. They work in incredibly tiny amounts. We're talking sometimes just a single drop in an entire swimming pool's worth of blood. But make no mistake, they run the entire show. Now, these messengers don't all travel in the same type of vehicle. They're actually divided into 3 main groups. First, peptide hormones. These are made from amino acids, and they're basically your express delivery. They act incredibly fast, but they don't stick around very long. Think insulin. Then you've got your steroid hormones, which are actually made from cholesterol. These are the real VIPs that enter your cells directly and can actually affect your genes. Cortisol and testosterone fall into this category. Finally, we have amino acid-derived hormones, like adrenaline and melatonin, and their speed and action vary quite a bit based on their specific type. Moving right along to Section 2, energy and growth. Let's talk about fueling the human machine. So a crucial part of all this is how our body manages the energy from the food we eat, right? When you eat a meal, your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin is the messenger that runs out and tells your cells, hey, open up and absorb this sugar. It lowers your blood sugar and stores that energy for later. If you lack insulin, that's when you face diabetes, extreme thirst, and severe fatigue, because your cells are literally starving for fuel. But on the flip side, when your blood sugar drops way too low, the pancreas sends out a different messenger, called glucagon, to raise it back up. They act as this perfect counterbalance to one another. I mean, have you ever felt that terrible, exhausting crash after eating way too much sugar? Yep, that is this exact chemical balancing act happening in real time. But beyond just basic energy, we need growth and regulation. And here's where we see the pituitary gland acting basically like middle management by releasing growth hormone. This is what increases height in kids, builds muscle, and burns fat. Then you have the thyroid gland releasing T3 and T4. These two are the absolute masters of your metabolism. They control your body temperature and even dictate how fast your heart beats. Meanwhile, the parathyroid hormone and calcitonin are working constantly behind the scenes together to perfectly manage the calcium levels you need for strong bones and healthy nerves. But what actually happens when that thyroid middle management makes a mistake? Well, it's pretty dramatic. If you have too little thyroid hormone, a condition called hypothyroidism, your whole system just slows down. People experience unexplained weight gain,
crushing fatigue, depression, and they constantly feel freezing cold. But if you have too much, hyperthyroidism, the engine is running way, way too hot. You might suffer rapid weight loss, intense anxiety, a racing heartbeat, and constant sweating. It's a huge physical shift that just goes to show how incredibly powerful these invisible chemicals really are. Which brings us to Section 3, Stress and Survival. This is your body's emergency response department. This high-stakes department is completely run by the adrenal glands. Just imagine, you're out for a walk and suddenly, right in front of you, you see a snake. Boom! Instantly, your adrenal glands flood your entire bloodstream with adrenaline. Your heartbeat skyrockets, your pupils dilate so you can see the threat better, and blood rushes straight to your muscles. This is that classic primal fight or flight response. Right alongside it comes cortisol, the famous stress hormone, which immediately raises your blood sugar to give you extra emergency energy and controls inflammation. And keeping the whole system from collapsing is aldosterone, meticulously controlling your sodium and potassium to maintain your blood pressure during the crisis.
But here is the real danger of modern life. Our bodies were originally designed to experience stress in very short bursts, like, running away from that snake. But today, we are chronically stressed, and prolonged, constantly high cortisol leads to weight gain, high blood pressure, and even diabetes. On the other extreme, if you have way too little cortisol, it leads to something called Addison's disease, which is marked by dangerously low blood pressure and severe, debilitating weakness. True survival requires absolute balance. Next up, Section 4, Love and Reproduction, Creating and Nurturing Life. Here in this department, we find the profound drivers of human reproduction. Produced primarily in the ovaries, estrogen is what guides female puberty, manages the menstrual cycle, and actually helps maintain bone and skin health. Progesterone works right alongside it to support pregnancy and prepare the uterus. Meanwhile, testosterone, which is produced primarily in the testes, is what drives muscle growth, deepens the voice, strengthens bones, and regulates libido and sperm production. And when these specific hormones are imbalanced, the body can experience everything from severe adult acne and crazy mood changes to heartbreaking infertility. But reproduction isn't just about anatomy, right? It's about deep connection and recovery too. Take oxytocin, famously known as the love hormone. Yes, it triggers childbirth contractions, but it also builds that deep emotional trust and bonding between humans. Then there's prolactin, which handles milk production for newborns. And for recovery, we have melatonin. This one is super interesting. It's produced by the pineal gland primarily in complete darkness, and it totally controls our sleep cycles. This is exactly why sleeping in a pitch-black room is absolutely vital for your rest. Light literally stops this chemical messenger in its tracks. Finally, we have ADH, which just works quietly in the background, telling your kidneys to conserve water so you don't become dangerously dehydrated.
And finally, Section 5, Balance and Health, how we go about maintaining this incredible chemical factory.
So what actually causes our internal factory to break down in the first place? Well, the causes of chemical imbalance are incredibly common. A poor diet, obesity, and a simple lack of exercise are massive culprits. Chronic stress and poor sleep directly throw off our cortisol and melatonin levels, as we just talked about. Then, of course, there are natural life stages, things like aging, menopause, and pregnancy. On top of that, medical conditions like thyroid disease, diabetes, or even taking certain medications like steroids can severely disrupt this delicate chemical harmony.
And how do you know if your factory is malfunctioning? Your body actually cries out through very everyday complaints. We're talking constant fatigue, completely unexplained weight changes, sudden hair fall, or adult acne out of nowhere. You might experience severe mood swings, sudden anxiety, depression, or a plummeting libido. And look, these aren't just random annoyances you have to live with. They are very often the direct result of a chemical miscommunication happening right there, deep inside your bloodstream. Basically, your organs simply aren't receiving the right instructions from the CEO.
But, hey, the incredible news here is that modern medicine has highly accurate tools to look inside that bloodstream. Doctors rely primarily on basic blood tests to measure levels of TSH, insulin, cortisol, and your reproductive hormones. They also use fasting blood glucose, urine tests, and sometimes even saliva tests. And if they suspect a physical issue with the actual manufacturing plant itself, the gland, they can use high-tech imaging like ultrasound, CT, or MRI scans to see exactly what is going on in there.
But listen, you definitely do not have to wait for a doctor's visit to start protecting your endocrine system. There are highly actionable lifestyle tips you can literally start today. Eat a balanced diet that's rich in protein and healthy fats. Exercise regularly. And yes, both strength and aerobic training really matter here. Guard your sleep fiercely, aiming for 7 to 9 hours a night in a dark room. Manage your daily stress through relaxation, prayer, or meditation.
Maintain a healthy weight, stay hydrated, and of course, avoid smoking and limit alcohol. These habits physically support your glands, allowing them to produce the exact right amount of messengers you need. Before we wrap this all up, we absolutely need to address a few massive misconceptions. A super common myth is that hormonal problems only affect women. False. The fact is, men, women, and children are all profoundly affected by hormone disorders. Another big myth is that hormones only control reproduction. As we've clearly seen today, they regulate your metabolism, your sleep, your mood, and your very survival. And finally, please know this, taking hormone supplements is not always safe. Hormone therapy must always require strict medical supervision, simply because of how deeply and powerfully these chemicals affect your entire body. So, if you remember just one crucial thing from this explainer, make it this. Hormones are the ultimate coordinators of communication between all of your organs. Feeling truly healthy means your internal factory's messengers are perfectly in sync. And keeping them in sync depends entirely on your daily nutrition, your exercise, how well you manage your stress, your sleep quality, and seeking out proper medical care the minute your body starts sending you warning signals. We have just explored the fascinating, incredibly complex network that literally keeps you alive and functioning every single second of the day. Knowing that every mood swing, every sudden energy crash, and every disrupted sleep cycle is actually driven by these invisible chemical messengers, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. What is your body trying to tell you right now? Thank you so much for exploring the incredible endocrine system with me today. Keep learning, and always keep listening to your body.